All right, let's see who we got coming in here. Hey, Earl, what's going on? You're already here, lined up, ready to go. It looks like we're getting everything dialed in. I just double checked everything. Let me know. I think the audio sounds okay. I'm running my old podcast mic here, actually. So it's kind of a fun thing to use again and join in and do all that kind of stuff. So I didn't know if you were going to be over at Pontoon Jody's live or if you're bouncing between live streams here and there all over the place. So good stuff. Definitely got to get on your boat with you to go out and crab. I haven't crabbed with you. We've only done the shad, but thank you, Earl. I appreciate it. Definitely got to get out with you to go crab on your boat, though. I have not done that yet, so that's a thing. Hey, how's it going? Got River to Ocean here. Remind me what your first name was again. I need to write this down. That way we get it. Terry, okay. Terry, how's it going? I'm going to write that down because I don't like forgetting people's names when I'm trying to communicate with everybody here. So give me a second. I'm in my menagerie of all kinds of different stuff going on here. I'll get a pen. There we go. Just making sure I got everybody written down. You have the name tag, Earl. You got yours says Earl. I was gonna did I tell you last week that my wife Kristen, she was watching Dr. Pol. Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, thanks, Earl. Anyways, Kristen was watching Dr. Pol. She's like, hey, get in here. Get in here. I was like, what? She's like, look at this guy. He looks like Earl. And I go in there. I'm like, which guy? And it was a guy literally, you guys could have probably been brothers. He was older than you. So we'll say he didn't look as good as you did, right? Anyways, had the same beard. He had his name badge and everything else. I was like, kind of looks like Earl. She's like, oh, come on. He looks like Earl. I was like, no, he doesn't look like Earl. Come on. I was like, Earl looks better than that. I was like, he doesn't have white hair yet. So it was kind of funny. She drugged me all the way from the kitchen. I was having like some Rice Krispie treats or something like that. And I had to come in and look at your effigy from Central Michigan. So, all right. So River to Ocean, that's Terry. All right. Thank you, Earl. You're going to moderate for my my live again tonight here. And then Oregon Fishing Adventures. I know that we've talked before. I don't have Instagram anymore. What was your name again? I didn't get it. I should have it somewhere, but what was your name again? I'm writing down people's names so that I can just address them. I already know who Earl is, but once you pop that into the chat, just your first name, that's totally cool. Whenever it pops up, I'll be ready. All right, guys. So looks like we got 4 folks on here. First things first, I gotta give a big shout out to my friend Willie Gray, the Great Outdoors. We'll see if he pops in. It's 10 o'clock back home where he's at. He's actually from your neck of the woods, Earl, in Virginia. But him and I, we've been going back and forth, and we've been talking about different stuff. And I send him some stuff. He sends me stuff. But he sent me this Penn Peerless number 9. This is a level wind. Oh, okay. Kyle, yes, I was, but thank you. Now I have it, Kyle. All right, cool. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. Anyways, Willie Gray, all the way from Newport News, Virginia, sent me this Penn Peerless number 9. He did the outside work on it. He cleaned this thing up. He got it at a antique store flea market. I believe it's a flea market. Willie, when you pop on here, if you pop on, let me know. But he sent me this. I disassembled it, re-oiled the drag, the gears, everything else. And I went down and saw Mikey over at Fisherman's Marine. You've probably seen Mike in some of my videos doing bass fishing. Hopefully we'll get some more steelhead action on video. I know he's been in some of my shorts as well. Um, anyways, he put the line on it. We threw some 65-pound tough line. I'm gonna go take this old horse out and see if we can't bend it over with a sturgeon. So I got it on the sturdy stick, just the medium heavy action 20 to 40-pound line. Gonna go ahead and give it a run. It's got 185 yards of line, so that sturgeon can almost run 2 football fields if I'm not staying on top of it. So cool old reel. It's got this big, massive crank on it too. So I'm really excited to try it. It doesn't have a ton of horsepower as far as like drag goes, but it'll definitely get the job done. And if I don't get a sturgeon with it, it's going to go out in the salt because it's got brass and plastic gears in it and everything else. But I really oiled the heck out of it. I cleaned the inside of it up really good, and super cool reel. So thank you, Willie, for sending that reel over. I hope that everybody subbed to Willie. And hopefully he gets in here. There again, it's the Great Outdoors. I should be able to get his channel link here. Give me just a second. I'll get that. Oh, I could just go down and click on his little thing here. All right. Go ahead and copy that. I'm going to go ahead and drop his link right there. And thank you again, Earl, for doing the moderating. So click on that link. Make sure you sub to him. This Sunday, he's going to be coming out with the reel that I sent him, which was, I think, is a Shakespeare 1755 closed face reel. We don't play with them a lot out west here, but Willie does definitely rescue a lot of those. So, and there again, thank you to Mike from Fisherman's Marine for giving that to me so that I could send that over there. I'm hoping Mike's on here. Like I said, we talked today and he's like, I can't hear anybody talking to you. I was like, oh, that's because we're chatting in the comments. He was like, yeah, I wondered if you could hear who you're talking to because you're like conversing to yourself. It was kind of funny. So anyways, we went back and forth. So winter fisheries. So Kyle, I know that you've been out already beating the pavement, the riverbanks for winter steelhead. Earl, I know that you're not a fan of winter steelhead, but you're definitely out there getting on a lot of crab, and it's been going really good. And Terry, I don't know if you've been out. Oh, you got a IG conversation. Well, you just take your time, Earl. If anything, I'll try to connect with you. Anyways, Terry, I don't know if you've been out chasing many fish or not or anything else, but I do know that Kyle has. And there again, go over to Kyle's channel and make sure to sub. Oh, you've been out a couple times. Okay. What are you going for, Terry? I'm just curious. No fish yet this year. That's pretty normal, honestly. You know, my day, I got up, I went down to the river and my local river anyways. Absolutely, Kyle, anytime. I went down to the local river today and I was talking to Mike on the phone. Winter steelhead, right on. Cool. Don't feel bad. I haven't touched one yet either. So it's just, they're steelhead, right? But we're going to talk about a little bit of the tactics I'm using anyways, and it's probably all moot point. But went down there, river's running about 11,700 CFS, turbidity of 10.8. And if you want me to go into any of that, we can break down turbidities, water temperatures, flow rates, whatever. Anyways, went down there and I stuck to 2 lures because I was like, I don't want to try drift fishing with this much discharge. It's just going to take way too much lead to slowly present. It's just way too much water volume. My thought was I'm going to be fishing too tight to the bank to really get an efficient swing through the drift on that. River Rat, thanks for joining in. Hey, River Rat or Earl, what's River Rat's name? I'm just writing down names as we're going along here. Actually, it depends on where you're going to be fishing, Terry, because from what I'm seeing on the Northwest River Forecast Center site, we could see a drop on certain rivers. It depends on the size of the discharge. So I'll talk about that. anyways, I went down, started out throwing a good old pinky worm. So, Ernest, okay, thank you. Ernest, welcome into the live chat. Thanks for being here. Okay, so I'm like I said, I'm writing all this stuff. So, pink worm, all right, or just a soft plastic steelhead worm, right? So we got two different variants here. We have this one, which is a chartreuse in black, and then we have the good old classic Mad River worm pink. By the way, these two worms made by Scott Weaver, Dylan Rush Outfitters. Kyle knows who they are. They're from down in his neck of the woods, Junction City. Definitely check him out. He makes some fantastic soft plastic worms and beads as well. But we're going to talk about our other friends that I'm friends with here, My Style, with their beads, because their beads are a little bit more user friendly for the beginner until you get a little bit more coached up. But started out with these guys, ran them through, and I was running a different color pattern because I wanted something that was going to pop fairly hard. Did that. Then I came around and I dropped in the good old nightmare jig. And I stick to nightmare color, nightmare pattern. It just catches a lot of those. Oh, nice, Kyle. Yeah, you did get hooked up from Scott on that. So that's cool. And yeah, Earl, you're using some of Scott's stuff. You're using like B2 squid, and I don't know if Scott's making hoochies yet or not. I eventually will get Scott on a live. By the way, I have to go down to his house, set up like this whole live studio audience thing, and do that. But I will get Scott on here. The dude's super cool. Yeah, so he makes a variety of saltwater plastics really tough. I mean, these things are just rock solid tough. I've beat him into rocks. I've whipped him through brush, everything. His plastisol formula is just absolutely tough. His color schemes with the sparkle, well, I guess we call it flake, because we don't call it red sparkles and bass fishing. We call it watermelon flake. The way that he does his flake and his plastisol, it's very good. So yeah, he's in I knew you were very close to him, Kyle. I couldn't remember exactly where, but so worm and jig today. That's all I ran. I didn't do anything else. And you always leave the river wondering, is there something else I could have done? Is there something else I could have done? And maybe there would have been a fish there to present. And I honestly don't know. That, for those of us that, yeah, flake. Terry, well, that's the whole thing. It's got to be, flake. It's not sparkles or glitter or anything else. Cause don't tell bass fishermen it's green pumpkin and watermelon sparkles. It's green pumpkin watermelon flake. That's how it's got to go. So you always wonder though, was there something else I could do different? And I don't know, with the color of the water today, everything else, I don't know if there's much else a person could do. Yesterday, I went and I actually used a method called plunking. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that, basically took a pyramid weight on the bottom of a rig and put spinning glow about 24 inches off the bottom. Yeah, big balls of bait. That's about all you can do when you got that discharge. I mean, if you really want to get something, yeah, go big. If you want to really get something's attention, you got to go as big as you can. Speaking of which, this guy right here crossed my mind to throw this out and drift at this big, massive double-aught spinning glow or 20 millimeter beads. Sometimes having that mylar cranking through the water column really pops off a lot of flash, especially you rig it up with the egg loop. You put a sand shrimp tail on there. Not only are you getting the distribution of scent from the mylar wings swinging around, but you're also you're creating motion and disturbing the water. So I mean, this is a Chinook salmon plunking spinning glow, or if we're anchor fish and you want to drop something else, I mean, this is absolutely absurdly big. But in big water, you never know. So it crossed my mind, big bait, big beads, everything you guys are talking about, just putting a lot out in the column. But, I leave the rivers on days like today, and it's become normal, especially steelhead fishing. Whether I'm throwing a big, lure like this here, throwing a wiggler out there, with that type of flash, and you notice that I really like chartreuse and chrome in our waters because they're just so dirty. Um, so Terry, you were tie a hook with the spinning glow, or are you talking about with this wiggler rig? While you're answering that. Oh, double hook setup while plunking spinning glow. Oh, I can go over that. I got my plunking rod back over here. I'll show you how I do it. But anyways, I ran this setup here above my spinning glow, and the way I have it rigged up is I have fairly large snap swivel slides down the line, and basically because this is a diving crankbait, it's a big round bill. Hey Jake, what's going on? Thanks for stopping in. Big round bill. It basically just like a Lure Jensen diver or something like that. It pulls itself down, and then it starts to wiggle back and forth. Puts out a lot of water, or puts out a lot of volume and a lot of movement in that water column. So then you start wondering yourself, and there again, wondering about all the other stuff that kind of comes along with it. What's going to work out. So let's see. Did I miss Ted? There's Ted. Hey, Ted, thanks for stopping in. Yeri or Terry? It might be a mix of a couple folks here. Okay. So Ted, thanks for stopping in. Always appreciate it. It's good to see you. So anyways, so you always wonder, should I have been pulling plugs? Should I have been throwing something else out bigger? But then you just kind of stop and you go back, and I got a video. It should be dropping next Friday. It goes over my top 3 reference books for steelhead fishing. These are the top 3 that I like. And I go back and I look at, I always go back to this book though, this Color Guide to Steelhead Drift Fishing, because it really goes down into like the root heart essence of, what we're really looking at. And what we want to do as far as this book goes. So anyways, great book. I go back in there. I'm looking. I'm like, what should I do? Okay. And I might approach the river a little bit different tomorrow morning. That's if I'm not sturgeon fishing and I decide to go winter steelhead fishing instead. So you always leave the river kind of in question, and it gets tricky. So I've had friends get on fish so far this year. So yeah, I think he is. I think he's staring at the clouds. I'm reading this chat over here. This is great. Oh boy, it's kind of bouncing all around. We got Ted that pops in, and then everybody's like, "Hey Ted, how's it going?" And then we got Yeri just got out of Yale. Oh, yep. And then Terry's wondering if Earl's staring at the clouds. Anyways, guys. So going back to kind of some of those references and stuff like that. Yeah, the steelhead are coming in strong. So a couple different things that have happened over the last 5 days that have just absolutely destroyed steelhead fishing. Number one, sub-zero temperatures. Goes without saying. Looked at a couple of the small systems are going to be the best, Kyle. That's definitely, everything's just cranking way too hard. All the main rivers and tribs, they're going to be cranking hard. Depends on the size. Up my direction here, Sunday might be the first fishable day for a lot of these, in all honesty. So there's going to be some of that. Well, Terry, where do you live at, Terry? You could go up high in a lot of systems and find some stuff. Yeah, I know your river's going to be. I know where you're fishing at, Kyle. So one rule here, especially when we start talking about steelhead rivers. Okay, yeah. So maybe Kyle, Terry, you guys could probably maybe do like a DM through a private chat. But the one thing I want to say is that, if you guys have a fire river that's just going off, Don't ever say the name on here. I wouldn't hesitate on that one, Terry, to be honest with you. Let's see if Chicken Little pops in here again, like he did last week. If he pops in, that would be the one to talk to. Don't worry about it. It's blown. So that river is blown. And I didn't say it outright. So it's not. I noticed that our live chat, sometimes it'll pop up, but, I'm not important enough to really blow it. But if you have a system that's real fire, it's especially on the internet, there's so many report chasers out there. Instead of really, it's just a bit too big of a river system to really drop into shape. But I got a couple other ideas, just a couple metrics to look at actually, and I'll see if I can pull up a share screen and we can take a look at some stuff. So yeah, Kyle, your river's going to fish good, but it's not nearly as big as the Silet's. So that's the good part is that your river's going to drop into shape a lot faster. My river is nowhere near dropping into shape. So that's why I'm thinking about high water tactics. And that's why I'm thinking of big lures, big baits, 20 millimeter bead, 32 millimeter bead, running, 3.5 mag lips, pulling plugs in the drift boat, doing something like that. Or throwing the big spinning lows, even anchoring up in some really good eddies and trying to back bounce some bait. Just seeing if there's something out there that's going to gag. We're definitely not in water conditions where 8 millimeter corky and a little ball of yarn and some scent are going to be the way to get on them. But we do have some ways to do that. So let's go back to Terry. You had the question on how to rig up a double spinning low setup. Let me get what I've got rigged is my plunking rod out now. So I got to kind of swing it around the garage here a little bit. So starting out, I'll go over rod. So this is a 9-foot long Okuma SST heavy action 1 to 6 ounce rod. Okay. Kyle's in Philomath. So, he's got some cool stuff. And like I said, check out his channel, Oregon Fishing Adventures. He's got really, really good stuff on there and he works really hard on that channel. So on this setup, Terry, let me go ahead and undo my duo lock here. See if I can swing this around. I guess I need to have a pole shop to do all this demo. 2-car garage doesn't cut it when it's jammed full of junk. All right. So reel that I'm using on this is an Okuma Citrix. I find that this reel, people trash Okuma all the time, but I've brought a lot of fish in on Okuma. Never had a problem with it. I take that back. I had a cold water blow out a drag pawl, but that could have been my fault. I don't know. So starting out, terminal connection end here, Terry. What I do is I put a bead up here on my main line, and I'm running 65-pound braid on this. This is just 65-pound tough line. I put this 7 millimeter bead on here. It doesn't matter what color it is. I go down to a bead chain swivel down here. And the reason why I go to a bead chain is because when you start adding all this terminal tackle and it's spinning around, you're going to run into a lot of issues plunking. So you want to have that autonomy of everything being able to spin. All right. The other reason why we add that bead and that bead chain is that once we get our gear set, and maybe I'll do a video on how to plunk, or how I plunk anyways. I'm not the expert on it. But basically, you take your snap swivel, and let's say that your line is anchored. Oops. Let's say your line is pinned down with your pyramid weight on the bottom. What I like to do here, let me go ahead and snap the swivel. So we're pinned down. We've already cast it out, and we have our spinning low out there working. You can take your wiggler here, or whatever diving plug you want, you snap it on up on the bank and you let the current drag this down in line. And basically the way that it's going to work, it's just going to basically dive on its own. Okay. So that particular rig is diving on its own. But if you want to set up a double spinning low rig, basically all you have to do Let me get my spinning glows here really quick. I thought I was going to have everything I wanted to show and tell, but let me do this. All right. So, shameless plug again for fishing products. Leaderboards work out super handy for this. So I'll just do a quick demo. So let's take Tony the Tiger here. It's one of my favorite spinning glows for steelhead. This one, I have it tied on to a big swivel, just as an example. If you want to do a double spinning glow setup, yeah, it's definitely easy. You could leave these terminal points on, especially in the high colored up water. You're not going to spook fish. But basically, if you want to do a double setup, before you cast out, you hook one spinning glow to that top. And then down here, I have a second swivel that goes down to, so I have a dual lock so I can remove my weight on the end. You can take your second spinning glow and you can connect it to this little barrel swivel down here. And basically what you're looking at is you're going to have a spread of a spinning glow up high. So if you figure my chest height here is about 5 feet. So we have one at 5 feet. We have one at about 3 feet. And then we have where our leaded line goes down, or where our lead goes, which is another 2 feet. So we're basically running a couple feet between each spinning glow down to that right there where that second swivel is. And basically cast it out, try to keep everything as straight and clean as you possibly can, and put a little sand shrimp on there. So get your sand shrimp, have your egg loop ready to go, or you can put a little wad of eggs on one, or you can even just do a couple coon shrimp and just go ahead, egg loop it on there, or you can magic thread it. Make sure you got a bearing bead on the spinning glow itself, and toss that out and just let it soak. That's all you do. I'll be 100% honest. It's not my favorite way to fish for steelhead. Does it work? Yes, it does. I'm not saying that it won't work. It's just not my favorite way to fish for steelhead. I like watching floats drain, or I like the dead stop of a spoon bite or a drift fishing bite. But the sky's the limit as far as your different spinning glows go. And I tend to prefer like the number 2 size on the spinning glow, just because I like it. It doesn't mean that's going to be what works all the time, but I like that size. I pair it up with a good 1/0 hook, and it works out good. So there again, just egg looped off right there, and you can add a bead, and you can add your spinning glow. I had that other big Kenai spinning glow, that double aught over here. But yeah, definitely get yourself some spinning glows. Get some wigglers. I suggest getting Brad's wigglers. I think Brad's makes the best action. I'm not saying that Storm doesn't, but I found that Brad's color schemes and the way that everything works seems to work out well. One other tip on the wigglers themselves. Let me go ahead and get this cleaned up. I'm going to catch up with the chat. All right, cool. So Terry and Jake, you guys going to go, you guys actually going to go get on a plunking shack, huh? Get the firewood. I don't think the Brad's wigglers are made out of wood, Terry. I want to say they're like a plastic molded type plug. I'm not sure. I know that this. Okay, so this is a Storm. You can see that I've fished the heck out of this thing, and it's been hammered a few times. It's made out of plastic. Probably this high output light here is kind of screwing things up. But it's made out of plastic, and I believe the Brads are too. So, but yeah, you can tell this thing's got chomped quite a few times. It's been beat up hard. But the Brads I believe that they're made out of plastic. and I highly suggest going that route with the brads, uh, just because I don't know what it is. They just seem to run good. Um, One thing that you have to do with any of these type of lipped, yeah, yeah, Kyle, you should try it just one time. Take the buddy heater out, or get a plunking shack with firewood. Take some good food out there, chairs. It's honestly a lot of fun. You can just hang out and just leave your rods out, and as the fish pass, they just hit. Um, like I said, not my favorite way to fish, but it works in the high water. I think that you could see success on the Silettes if you do that. Oh, let's see here. Where did my plug box go? Oh, it's under all this other stuff. Okay. So, one other suggestion that I have in the grand scheme of all this, especially with if you're plunking these plugs, you're doing anything. Yeah, I know. That's my thing. Is it's really hard for me to plunk. I usually myself have to do something. This is a Brad's wiggler. This is what they call their wee wiggler. It's a very small one, but and those other really famous guys that are on YouTube, they shared this out and all that. But I will say that adding a bead chain, and if you want to run a treble hook or a Siwash hook off the main body of this, like this is a blue pirate. This is one of my other favorite colors of like all time ever. This can help out with hookups quite a bit, because it drags that hook back, and if you do prefer to run a treble hook on this, it's going to allow that fish to really get around it and just sew it shut. Now, good part is you hook the heck out of the fish. The bad part is that if you get a wild fish that you got to release, it's pretty much a rodeo. Because that thing's just sewed shut. Yeah, I was waiting for Earl to mention something about plunking somewhere in some way, but yes, Earl, you should get a sponsorship from Lazy Boy. I don't know why they don't sell it with the bead chain, but there again, Brad sells bead chain. I mean, I got so much. I could sit here and pull so much tackle out. Get the it's a 7-chain swivel, or 7-chain bead. Hey, how you guys doing? It's Heidi and Joe. Thanks for stopping in. We're talking all about steelhead and winter fishing, so hopefully you find something entertaining out of it. Anyways, yeah, definitely. The bead chains are like a 7-chain setup. You can run them just like this. This is another Brad's wiggler here, and I have yet to really get any effective strikes on this, but the big old yellow eyes, you can see that it puts out a lot of visibility on that. Pretty cool. So you can throw that in with your plunking rig, and it just gives a different lure with some different actions. So basically anything that you're doing in a boat trolling, if you can get it to sit stationary for any amount of time, you can plunk it too. So wigglers, spinning glows, big high water stuff, it works good. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask, how's the weather over there in La Pine? Heidi and Joe. Okay. Catch up on the chat. Yes, side planers and plugs also work really good, Kyle. I don't personally have a side planer because I own a drift boat. But a side planer works much in the same way as pulling plugs on a drift boat. Let me wrap this up here really quick before I stand up and trip all over 65-pound braid and my rod. Yes, side planers work really good. So on the terminal end of that, there you go. Brad's Dual Lock, 85-pound brake strength. All the line I'm running is Maxima Ultra Green, and it's in the 25-pound class on all of my connecting. My main line is a 65-pound Power Pro. And then everything else you saw coming off those spinning glows or wigglers is 20 pound. So that's what I'm running for all my line weights on all that stuff. And Maxima Ultra Grain Mono. Big water, high water, steelhead can't see the line anyways. And if they can, they're probably not the fish you want biting. So you want the big, nasty, aggressive fish to be hammering down. So anyways, plunking stuff, great way to target those fish in this high water. That's probably the number one way, but it is like watching paint dry, that's for sure. So that's one way to target them, especially if you're, if you're getting used to bobber fishing or float fishing or anything like that, which it sounds like, Terry, you've went out after winter steelhead a couple times down on your river. More than likely Sunday is going to, for me, I'm going to be running a mix on my river. We're going to be running a mix of pulling those plugs. Either we're going to go up to the Maglip 3.5s, or we're going to be running the Brad's Wigglers and pulling plugs in the drift boat, or we're going to be running a bobber dogging setup with a large bead. So, yeah. I'll talk a little bit more about some of this other tackle that I got over here for when the water does come into shape, but just going to catch up on the chat here a little bit. And there again, I appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out and talking. Means a lot to me to have you guys here. So hopefully you're getting something out of this a little bit. So, oh, you guys take pontoons. Okay. You can still pull plugs out of a pontoon. No problem. Probably a little bit harder to really work a slot slower, but I think that you guys do okay with it. Just staying on the sticks and just really work it hard and just keep the put it out 40 feet, it's set it out 40 and just work it down through a slot real slow. It's too bad you guys don't have motors, because then you could go pull back up and re-pull the run. Sometimes you pick up fish doing that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of this new fancy dancy tackle coming out. So first one, along with the color guide to steelhead drift fishing here, and you just saw that package. You're going to notice, if you said you were paying me to be. Yes, I am. Don't worry. We'll get you set up. Oh, by the way, speaking of paying people, stickers are in. Woohoo! So, put in the comments my email. Okay, so if you guys want a sticker or two or whatever, go ahead, shoot me your address to that email over there. And it shouldn't have the greater than, less than thing. But anyways, I will make sure to get everybody on my lives a couple stickers here. It's the PNW Vintage Outdoors, living life at its best in the Pacific Northwest with all of our favorite little critters to go after and catch and eat on there. So anyways, make sure everybody gets at least a couple of these stickers here. I got them so that I could make sure all my friends had stickers for their boats or their tackle boxes or the inside of a honey bucket or wherever you want to put them. So nonetheless, so yes, you will be paid, Jacob, to be here, but it'll be in a sticker, okay? And maybe I'll throw in some other goodies for you and Terry too. So color guide to steelhead drift fishing, okay? In here, and even in this other book, my friend Randy Bonner wrote this book, and this is probably one of the most important pieces of literature that you could possibly own if you are a steelhead angler. It's called the Bead Fishing Bible. Now, Randy even flat out states in this book that he's not a bead fishing expert, but if you look at the technical data in that book, you'd be like, wow, I mean, he really went all in. But Mr. Bill Herzog here, another friend, he talks about his favorite drift bobber ever. And so somebody's got to jump up and say it if you know Bill Herzog. I'm going to just go ahead and pull this little excerpt up here as long as I can find it out of his book, because I agree with Mr. Herzog, because I've caught fish on this drift bobber before. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Where is it at? Okay. So Okie Drifter, and the Okie, along with the Corky, is one of the most popular drift bobbers, originally made from the shell of a hollow plastic and painted. Today's Okie Drifters, which are no longer made, were polystyrene. Robolize, which Robolize is based out of Hillsboro, super fast customer service. Okay, let me go ahead and put their information in the comments here. So it is. Okay. So yeah, Kyle, definitely. Randy's stuff is really good. I'm waiting for the text, Earl. Okay. Where oh, I did get your email too. Good. Perfect. You will have it was. I have your address, and no, I won't share it with everybody, okay? The Okie Drifter. In the back of the Bead Fishing Bible, there's actually a long excerpt from Maxwell Tackle Manufacturing on it as well. So, Kyle, if you're interested in that, you can go back and read. The gentleman with Robolize, he is making the plastic painted Okie Drifter again, and he's got it number one, he goes number 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in sizes, but we all know that number 3 is like the magic size. So I got some number 1s, some number 3s. He actually ended up sending me some other stuff that he makes, like the mercurial beads and all that. But Okie Drifter, super solid drift bobber. Definitely would suggest anybody that's into doing a little bit of drift fishing, side drifting, check these out. Kyle, you might even want to give these a shot too. You might really like it. But yeah, they're the Robolize Okie Drifter. These things pop underwater really good. So check him out. He's local here in Oregon. Terry? There's those ones. I would get the ones out of my front wader pocket, but they're soaked in anise oil, and I don't want to get anise oil all over my stuff here. Already smells like dead herring in my thing. So there you go. That is the Robolize Okie Drifter. And Mike, if you're watching, I think I gave you a couple of these. We did some trading for some stuff. So great product here. Okay. Robolize.com. Go over there. I believe he does free shipping on orders over $30. I believe these are running about $4.50 to $5 a bag, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drift bobbers in there for $5. Custom makes them. Super cool. That way, yeah. You were doing 7 miles an hour, Earl. Okay. I don't know how you drifted unless you managed to unless you're attempting to jackknife the roll forming drill. That's the only thing I could figure out was going. Okay, so everybody here knows who my style baits are, Sarah and Chad. I went ahead and I made the investment with them. I got the pink these pink pearl kind of modeled things. Okay, Kyle, so you're gonna get your next one from Talon. Nice. I'm gonna have to look that up. Let me write that down. Talon rods. See, I love this because we can all share in real time, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna check this out. So Sarah does these absolutely fantastic beads. And this isn't to put down Scott or Dylan Rush Outfitter beads, because Scott makes some absolute awesome beads. But what Sarah's done with these beads is that she's actually punched them. So when we're looking at Scott's beads, I'm not going to go chase tackle anymore. I swear I'm not going to chase tackle unless I got one of his some of his extra beads popping around here. I do. Look at this. Okay. I just got to look long and hard enough, and I always come across it. So I have random stuff drifting around everywhere. So Sarah's bead pre-punched for the T-peg. Okay. You know, Terry, I've never attempted to fish a chartreuse round bead, but X Factor Tackle makes a chartreuse egg cluster that's a soft bead, and I've ran that. I've never had good success with it, I guess is the best way to put it. Not around here, anyways, but I'm willing to try anything once. So, as a comparison, Scott's 12 millimeter bead, Scott's plastisol and Sarah's plastisol, they're both on par with each other. Difference with Scott is that he casts his beads continuously and they're not pre-punched. So you can kind of customize, you know, run it through a hook, do whatever you want to do with it, slide it down onto a T-peg, kind of force it on there, do that kind of stuff. And it works pretty good. So DRO beads, they're fantastic. I believe Kyle was also God Sent. So that was GODSCENT. He got fish on those. He's got a video over on his channel, Oregon Fishing Adventures, that those beads seem to work really good. So you've never been a fan of the beads with holes in them. Yeah, and so that's one thing about bead fishermen. So Kyle fishes a lot of steelhead. He fishes a lot of beads and stuff like that. God Sent out of Newport, veteran-owned company there again. So Kyle, let me see. I need to make you a mod here in a second. So if I make you a mod on the channel, then you can, kind of post links and stuff like that. Let me do that really quick, Kyle. I want you, if you have time at work, if you could go get the link for that, please, that would be super fantastic. And then share it out here, because I know Terry and I know Jake would be interested in that. And if we have somebody else, if you can share that out, that would be super cool. Let me get over to my stuff here, hopefully. Why doesn't it let me go there? Hold on. I need to go back over. I'm still figuring out this live stream thing, but I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. So let's see what we got here. One second. Oh, don't forget to make sure to hit that like, please. Let's see. Kyle, got you as a moderator now. There we go. Let's see. I'm just making sure I got everybody else. And then Heidi and Jill, I am going to make you moderators as well. Go. Make sure I got everybody else. All right. I think we're good to go on that. All right. Okay. So, yes, Earl, yes. You are a managing moderator. I should make you like the chief executive moderator. Actually, is there? Can we petition YouTube for a chief executive moderator? That's what we'll make it all official. I'll get you one of those little. That's what I got to get you, Earl. So instead of your fancy name tag from the roofing company, we got to get you one of those desk things. It's like the Reef Robber. That's what we need to do, and it's got to be gold, So maybe like a mahogany or oak back on it or something like that. So it looks good on your desk with the deer in the background and everything else. See, I got a steel chainsaw and a bunch of fishing rods behind me. You got a deer, you got a dead animal on your wall. So I could probably scrounge something up like a jackalope or something. Maybe, where's Steve at anyways? We need Steve in here. Maybe Steve can scrounge up one of those jackalopes from Wyoming or something like that. get him on that. So, uh, so anyways, let's see. So far, I have Jake and Earl. I have your guys' addresses so far. There again, Steve. Oh, Steve has COVID. Oh no, that's no good. You've been on a boat with Earl. He throws things. So does that mean he's unqualified to be a CEO? All right. So Kyle, yeah, you got the godsentfishing.com. Definitely check them out. All right. So yeah, so Sarah, good friends with us, and a lot of you folks know who that is. My Style Baits, great beads. Dylan Rush Outfitters, great beads. God Sent Beads, great beads. Um, this book, there again, the Bead Fishing Bible. Randy doesn't just sit there and say, never got hit, but he threw stuff. Anyways, Randy doesn't say like you have to buy just BNR beads or Western Fishing Operations beads or the big ones. He even brings up Dylan Rush Outfitter beads. He doesn't. Sarah came on to the scene a little bit too late for her beads to make it in the book, but I did put them in front of Randy, and Randy's like, "Ooh, I like those." So kudos to Sarah for making a really solid bead, and I've really fished her beads hard. Um, Kind of going back to that chartreuse thing, Terry. I don't know. It seems to me like cerise and pink and orange, or anything in those color palettes. Um, those are all uh, those seem to be the hot beads, and I don't know why, but especially on your river, Kyle, you can chime in here if you're finding that like the BNR Sweet Cherry or like the cerise or the goat from Dylan Rush Outfitters, any one of those, if those are really popping off. So let's see, got all that stuff. So, anyways, beads, all that stuff. We got all that. So I'm gonna hang all this stuff back up. I'm gonna go. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about some hardware here. Hardware for steelhead when it's normal out. Usually, Kyle, you got a steelhead in your last video on a custom built spinner from. Yeah, you don't use BNR, you use DRO, Elevated, and Godsend. Okay, yeah, and I noticed that with BNR, and I think they're a good company. I think a lot of people do a lot of business with them, but I think that their plastisol formula is a little soft. My personal opinion. Um, I mean, the fish bite the heck out of them, but um, yeah, the 3 bead box rule, always be ready to change. So, got another video coming out in 2 weeks on how to build your own spinners. This spinner here, built out of R&B lure components. Now, Kyle, I think that you had a custom spinner built by R&B that you got that last steelhead on. But Rob's been doing this a long, long time, and he builds some just absolutely fantastic spinner components. And so the torpedo bodies, yeah, this is like a steelhead slammer through and through. It's just built with R&B components. Big number 4 hammered silver French blade. I paired it up with a VMC 1/0 Siwash sickle hook. So this hook here has a more of a sickle shape to it. If you can see it, it doesn't have just that J bend of the standard Siwash. Um, Yeah, the glass check beads with a sequin. Yeah, that's a good way to pin. Um, these things just hammer smash fish, especially in deep water. They thump hard. Everything else. I really like these. Not to say that like Blue Fox doesn't work good, but man, I really like these torpedo body spinners. So these ones are fantastic. Now, I could go through tons and tons and tons of. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Kyle. Rob is rock solid on that. Let me get a drink of water here really quick. Oh, okay. Yeah, Rob's super rock solid. Let's see. Seeing. Okay. Only got 2 emails so far. Let me put my email back in there again. Okay. Yeah, no, Rob's super solid. I've ordered a lot of parts from him. He's always been on top of it. He's always responded really well. He's super cool guy. So, he was on an episode of Grant's Getaways, I think, about 8 years ago. They were on the Upper Sandy River. Okay, cool. Thank you, Terry. Um, Grant's Getaways, they were on the Sandy River, and he was bombing out a black body with a silver blade of this exact spinner and just smashing some big wild summer steelhead. It was super cool. But they were rafting. They're way up on the Upper Sandy. Um, I'm looking here, Terry. Just let me pop over here really quick. I'm gonna refresh. Let's see. So, Jacob, I got you. Earl, I got you. So if you want a sticker, make sure to go ahead and fire over your address to the email up there, pnwvintagefishing@gmail.com. But yeah, the R&B components, lure parts, all that stuff. Yeah, it's on Grant's Getaways. It's called Metalheads. That's what it's called. So if you go to Grant's Getaways and you type in metalheads or fishing for metalheads, that's all I remember. But Rob was out there. They were just destroying summer steelhead, black body, silver blade, that type of slammer. Other favorite lure, caught my first steelhead on my own on this guy right here. Okay, the old Steely spoon. My friend Josh out fishing a couple weeks ago. I get a text from him, and then I get a text from Mike because they were fishing together. He was throwing a copper version of this spoon, and he got hit and he got spooled by a monster steelhead. I think we joked back and forth thinking maybe he'd hooked a huge beaver or something like that. But this good old Steely spoon, sometimes you just got to go real old school. I guess if you want to call it old school, or just go real simple. And once you get those fish hitting, that's it. Um, Spoons are just absolutely deadly for steelhead. I mean, you can go with this S curve type spoon, the P line 2/5 ounce, quarter ounce, whatever else. These spoons just absolutely smash. And a good resource that's no longer in publication, Spoon Fishing for Steelhead. Bill Herzog, another great book. Good luck finding one. I believe that the last time I saw one on Biblio Books, it was $55, and I've seen them go anywhere from $55 for a copy to uh, $75, $80. It's ridiculous. This book, when it was new, was $16.95 right there. Amato Publications needs to reprint it. Yeah, ring that dinner bell as it bounces across the bottom of the rocks. Just, get that nice little swing in it. Get that nice little thump on the end of your rod. A couple different things I do with my terminal rigging. Sometimes I've added a barrel swivel down here on the spoon down to the hook end, and that's just when the fish gets on it, they can barrel roll and spin. But honestly, I've had better hookup success just going straight to the split ring on the spoon, and then just going with that size 3 barrel swivel up there into the split ring, and let that on the line actually spin itself. Free. You stole it from your father-in-law. Good job. That's a good price. So spoons, deadly effective on these guys too. So all good stuff. All right. So we got 8 people in here. Let's see. I'm just checking. Terry, gotcha. All right, thank you. So there again, everybody. If you're in here and you want to get your free mailed to you PNW Vintage Outdoors sticker, please make sure to email the PNW Vintage at Gmail, or PNW Vintage Fishing at gmail.com. That way you can get your free sticker, or I'll send you guys all a couple stickers out of this stack here as a small token of my appreciation for everybody being here. So, all right. So, steelheading. Yeah, you fish a lot of spinners instead of spoons, Kyle, and that's okay. there's been a lot of stuff that kind of comes up as far as spoons go and all that. So, I mean, spoon fishing can be easy, but it can also be very hard. And um, I think a lot of times we'll fish a spoon and just hook a fish on accident. To be 100% honest with you, a spinner, it's very intentional, but a spoon, it's like you just got to get that right split second of that rod thump as it's going through, and that swing and hitting the bottom, and it's something that turns on a fish. Um, but when you start building out boxes of spinners and spoons like that you take, one of my other favorite classic spinners that doesn't get a lot of attention is this cheap little guy. It's a Bud spinner. Okay. These things slay. I love them. They're dirt cheap too. They're like $2 a pop. They're made by Yakima Bait, and they work really well. Another local guy, actually, Jacob. This guy's local to you. Axis Fishing Northwest. He's down in Dallas, and he's been doing all these different color spoons and stuff like that. I'm actually looking for one of his spinners, but last year I got a 14-pound hen on one of his spoons. She just kind of came up and grabbed it. It wasn't like an aggression strike, but it's just a dead stop. I started reeling, and then she started head shaking, and then it turned into a real fight. Makes some fantastic colored spoons. Really cool stuff. I love his stuff. He does a great job. It's very high quality. He also does torpedo body spinners as well, and I've picked those up from him before. So he has just a standard French blade on torpedo body. Yeah, the purple. Yeah. So Jacob, this is Axis Fishing North NW. So put it in here. Oh, wrong spot. You can look him up on Instagram or Facebook. He's got all that kind of stuff. So definitely check him out, look him up. I go ahead and tuck some of these guys away. So, yep, I only run Terry. I only run Siwash hooks on all my spoons. I don't run any treble hooks on my spoons, and the reason for that is that it reduces the amount that they hang up on the bottom. As soon as I buy a spoon, whether I'm getting a Steely spoon from Paulson Cascade Tackle, or if I'm getting a Daredevil, or I'm getting Blue Fox spinner, whatever else, that treble hook's gone. I cut it off. And the reason why is that a lot of times just having those two bends in the treble hook itself physically, that tends to hang up on the bottom, especially on these casting spinners. You'll even notice on my smaller Blue Foxes here, I go to a smaller single point Siwash hook on these guys too. So these are deadly. These are number 3 Blue Foxes. They kind of break the difference between trout and steelhead, and sometimes that's all it takes on that size. Of course, you have the larger bell bodies too, and just to kind of display Rob's versatility, here's a larger, kind of a bright green bell body. This is all R&B lure components, and you can see, how I have that rigged up. But yeah, single point Siwash hook. Actually, I need to change this hook. That'd probably be something I did out on the river. I'd look at it like, ugh, I have to put a new hook on it. So definitely, Terry, if you're looking to lose less spinners or spoons, switch over to the single point Siwash. I personally, and Kyle might have a hook brand that he likes better or worse. I personally, these are the hooks that it comes with, and I just keep those as backup. But I'm a fan of VMC Siwash hooks, the tech set. They're the sickle style Siwash hook, and I probably got a bag of them up here on the pegboard. But yeah, they're the VMC sickle or tech set Siwash hook. They're a sickle style Siwash hook. They work out really good. So really fantastic way to keep your gear from hanging up on the bottom. I never have a problem with a fish hooking up. A lot of people say, hey, that might not be it, Terry. It just could also be maybe your rod action. I don't know what kind of rod action you're using with the spoon. I'm using a Whammy red line for my spoon rod, 8 to 17 pound. It's got a medium power, fast action, kind of in that medium heavy power, medium fast action. And I can see a thump pretty good. I think Rob's using Gamakatsu, Kyle. I'm not sure about that 100%, but Gamakatsu makes a good hook. So, other than that, I don't have a lot else to add to this. We were kind of talking about everything else as far as steelhead stuff goes, but other great winter fisheries, and I know Jake and Earl, you guys both, you've really got into the crab pretty hard. I when this steelhead stuff goes to pot, when we have a big river blowout, oftentimes instead of trying to just wait it out, I can't just wait. And especially when it's making it too hard to fish for sturgeon. I got to do something. Crab, man. If everything else is blowing out, crab as close to the salt water as you possibly can, from my experience. I don't know. You guys probably have a little different experience with that. Would be my guess. I know when rivers blow out, it'll push the crab right out of the bay too because of the fresh water, but not in every case. I think Earl's got a video out there proving that too. So, yeah, so it's going to be kind of interesting this weekend. I was going to pull up a hydrograph here really quick. Let's go to let's see, Northwest River. Make sure I can get into a good share screen here. Okay. So let's see. I want to share screen here. Okay. All right. So if you're not familiar with this website, this is called the Northwest River Forecast Center, and everybody should become familiar with this website. Now, while I'm navigating this, I can't see, I don't have a second screen hooked up, so I can't see comments yet. But let's take a look down here. We're going to go ahead and zoom in over here in Oregon, since that's where the majority of us are at. Oh, come on. I'm just going to go up here. All right, so we go to our hydrograph forecasts and stuff like that. Let's just go ahead and pick any random old river. Let's go to, let's take a look at the Willamette Falls below the falls at Oregon City. Okay, so currently this is a 4 to 10 day trend. The Willie's definitely on the rise, that's for sure. So we can see through the curve here that the Willie's rising pretty hard. We can see that our water velocity is moving pretty good also as well. But we can see that the water velocity is going to start dropping around the 22nd to 23rd of the month. So about 4 or 5 days. 22nd and 23rd of the month, we're going to still be running high, but we've had a drop. Okay. Those are all good signs that, this is going to drop off. Another thing that this gives us is temperature data. And last observation, basically about 20 minutes ago, river's running at 41.5 degrees. Now, steelhead like cold water, but they don't like to be in a refrigerator. They're just like us. So we're waiting for that temperature to come up. You can see it was down here in the dirt, but it is slowly rising. Back up here in this 45 degree range, that's when we start getting a good snap, and that's been my experience anyways. So Northwest River Forecast Center can really help you plan out your trip. Now, let's go ahead and pick another random river. I really don't want to allude to too many, but let's go ahead, just for fun. Let's look at a river that drops real fast and real slow. Let's look at the Nestucca, because this river can be about as fickle can be. So what we saw, all right, so all that rain, snow melt, boom, comes up. Look at it, down in the toilet. So Sunday, it's going to be back down, and then it's going to go on the rise. This whole cycle right here fishes. The entire cycle is going to fish, no matter what. We get fish in, fish get pinned up, go off the bite. Fish come in, pinned up. We got this drop, rise, drop. And this is really indicative of a lot of different coastal rivers. I'm going to go ahead and pop out of the screen share here really quick. But this is really indicative of those different types of cycles. So Northwest River Forecast Center can give you a really good idea of what's going on there. So let me go ahead and stop that screen share there. So go to the Northwest River Forecast Center if you want to, find that. So I'm reading this little conversation here. Earl, I've caught crab all the way up in Detroit Lake, and got some brotherly love here. Crab or crabs? Wouldn't brag about that. So anyways, when you're planning for these weekend trips, no matter where you're going, go check out that Northwest River Forecast Center before you go. Obviously, like I said, if Mike's haunting around in here somewhere, and he's still wondering who I'm talking to, the one thing I will say is that when we're planning to fish, not only are we kind of hearing a little bit, but we're physically watching the rivers. We're watching for what we like to see, not necessarily because Joe Blow over here is hooking the heck out of steelhead. Well, those steelhead are gone because he's caught all of them. Yeah, he's going to pack them off to his truck and do whatever they do, right? But we have to watch those trends. Like highest likelihood of getting steelhead is when the river crests and drops, and use those river forecasts with that. Earl, I'll tell you, not everywhere in Portland do you catch crabs. Okay. Yeah. If you take your traps, I don't know, delousing powder or something. I don't want to go into this. All right. So anyways, well, guys, I guess I've kept everybody here rambling on a Friday night for an hour and 15 minutes, which, like I said, I really appreciate everybody coming over to watch this and join in. Yeah, get the water level details. Yeah. Happy Rock. Yeah, it definitely does, Earl. That's why I got broken crawdad traps. I'm not going to go there. We're keeping this family friendly. Maybe there's going to be a little kid that's like, oh, cool, it's a bunch of adults, or some guy rambling into a thing to a bunch of people that I have to go follow a live chat. So I'll play it safe. Okay. Anyways, everybody that came on here, there again, make sure, shoot me an email. I got 3 emails, pnwvintagefishing@gmail.com if you want to get your own PNW Vintage Outdoors super cool decal to put on your tackle box or the inside of your outhouse or anything else. Terry, honestly, water level wise, I like after high crest on the drop. I don't want to sit here and say like I like 10 feet, but my favorite personally is I like when we hit the high rise and maybe like 1 day of steady dropping, because and this is in my mind, I could be totally wrong and flawed logic, but thank you, Heidi and Joe. I appreciate that. My logic is that the fish have moved, they still have movement, and then the water level drops and they start pinning into the readable water. That's my thought on it. So I like, dropping kind of like 8 hours after you start getting that flat line drop. That's what I like to target the steelhead at. And turbidity wise, okay, so not to keep everybody super long, turbidity wise, what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for 8.6 to 5 FNU, and that is going to be found on the USGS flood gauge data website. Um, hold on one second. Let's just go to another fun one here. So I'm going to go to the Willamette River here really quick so that we can take a look at bioluminescence. So not to keep rambling here, but let me do this. Hey, Northwest Open season, how's it going? Thanks for stopping in. I'm going to go to the share screen here really quick. And blammo. Okay. So, Terry, so if you're just joining in, I'm actually getting ready to wrap this up, but Terry asked a really good question on water levels. And I'm just going to use the Willie as an example because it's not spot burning anybody. Nobody's going to lose their famous steelhead spot. Oh God, you can't have that. People are going to go out and fish. It's going to happen. But I respect people's, territorial sovereignty. Now, a couple things to look at here, Terry. So obviously tidal river, right? The Willamette's tidal. High tide, low tide. Okay. Low slack, incoming high, high tide, high slack, running out. Okay. Sturgeon fishing, I want here to here. Or in this case, here to here. After that, reel up, go home. Come back from here to here. Fun fact, okay? Outgoing tides spreads your scent, guts, everything else downriver, gets sturgeon snapping, draws them up into your stuff. Now, let's take a look at what we can do differently here. We can take a look at gauge height, discharge in cubic feet per second, but then we have all this other stuff. We have discharge that's tidally filtered because it is a tidal river system. Okay, it's affected by the Columbia, which is affected by the ocean. But let's roll all the way down here. Let's go down to turbidity. Okay, a lot of people ask, well, how do you check turbidity? You come to the waterdata.usgs.gov. You can also type in USGS flood gauge, my favorite river. And if they have one and they have this data where they have all this collection information, you're going to get that information there. Come back up here. Oh, looks like the big pipe took a poop in the river because we're running at 33.6 FNU, which basically says, I am a sludge pit of diarrhea. Don't even bother to mess around with me in Portland Harbor. It's probably not good for you to even breathe the mist coming off the river at that point. Okay. It's bad. Springer fishing, we want to be more like down. Well, it's not even registering. We like 5 to 10 turbidity for springer fishing, to be honest. That's kind of where we want to be. But when people are like, oh, how do you find out the turbidity? Do you get the little thing and drop it down and measure how? No, we just come to this website, waterdata.usgs.gov. It's going to give us all of the information we need in order to get there. So going back into the Google search, you type in USGS gauge, Willamette River. Okay, we can look at it near Portland. Some gauges, let's go down to your neck of the woods, Terry. Some gauges are going to have certain information. Oh boy, look at this. Yeah, definitely a lot of water coming down, and that's not going to drop for a couple weeks. So, but you'll notice that in certain things, certain data sites, they don't have the ability to measure bioluminescence or turbidity or anything else. So we have discharge cubic feet per second. So yeah, look at, we're pumping 96,200 feet per second. People back east, they're like, my river run is like cranking at 500 feet per second or cubic feet per second. And I'm like, I think I can pee harder than that. It's interesting because here we are, we're dealing with a river that when it's in good shape is pumping at 49,900 cubic feet per second. That's in good shape. So yeah, we just got a bunch of crap coming down. It's going to take a couple weeks for the Willie to clear up. So it's not even worth sturgeon fishing right now. Well, maybe, I'm crazy enough to do it. I just don't want to get hit by a log in my boat. That's kind of the most important thing. So, let me pop out of this really quick. Let's see. We got everybody Northwest Open Season, all that stuff. All right. So I'm going to stop the screen share. So, anyways, guys. So, Terry, to answer a very short question and with a very long explanation, take a look at that information. Look at that data when we're figuring out where we're going, what water clarities we're fishing, and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, I hope everybody found all of that stuff somewhat informative. Yeah, Jake, we'll have to just use your boat. Come up here and we'll go plung. I definitely don't want to be fishing in diarrhea, even though sturgeon have horrible eyesight and great smell. We're still fighting all that sediment in the scent trail and all that. So, plus we want some barometric pressure to change and all that. But definitely, we're going to get you out here. So anyways, folks, I hope you guys all enjoyed hanging out and doing all that stuff. And don't forget to hit a like, thumbs up on the video. Maybe we'll get a few other people to come back. Terry, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Jake, thanks for coming in. Northwest Open Season, thank you. Earl, thank you as always for being the most awesome moderator. Kyle, Oregon Fishing Adventures, thanks for popping in on your first live. Really appreciate you being here. It's good to talk to you in person. It's really cool. Heidi and Joe, thank you so much for coming in here. And anybody else that didn't want to talk or join the conversation, thank you so much for being in here. Really appreciate everybody. So I'll talk to you guys all later. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.